It's Friday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
You've waited all week, and now it's finally here. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and beyond.
And now, your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
What's up, everybody? I don't know what this means, but Friday night, March 12th, 2021, I am back once again. Don Tony here. Hope everybody is having a great day. And I see in the chat room, we have a lot of international friends tuning in. So for them, it's already Saturday. Saturday. SmackDown just went off the air. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I think you're thinking what I'm thinking. And if you're thinking what I'm thinking, then we're thinking of a pretty good idea. Any chance WWE is planting the seed? Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns versus Edge for WrestleMania? I like it. Kind of like what they did originally with Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. Remember? I said on the show, way back when, I thought Charlotte was absolutely necessary for that match. I know not a lot of people liked that idea at that time, but as good as Ronda Rousey was, and how she caught on like this, WrestleMania is a whole different animal, especially how they pushed that match, and let's be honest, at the expense of a lot of women in that company and a lot of men in that company. You remember? Bitter rivalries between two men. And when they would come out there and cut promos, they literally had to put over the women's match before they could say anything about their own feud. I want to get, well, we first got to talk about history. Now I can talk about why I want to kill you. I understand Extreme. It defeats the purpose of the Royal Rumble. But realistically, the storyline between Edge and Roman Reigns is not very solid. You know, I think a lot of people feel that Roman Reigns, you know, is going to retain, especially when you got fans finally returning. You know, I'm with everyone else that thinks that Roman Reigns should keep that belt into the summer. I know I've said that a few times before. You know, shit changes. Card subject to change. This is entertainment. We don't have to stick by the rule that somebody wins at the Rumble and they get the shot. He's still getting a title shot. He won the Rumble. But I personally think, just like I said, with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey, adding Daniel Bryan. Think about it like this. How many of you out there would love to see a match between Daniel Bryan and Edge? I know I would. Now, let's also remember, Edge's career, his return, his contract is not only until WrestleMania. Edge will wrestle after WrestleMania. I don't think I want to wait until after WrestleMania to see Edge go at it with Daniel Bryan a little bit. And I don't know if I want to see that as just a SmackDown main event. So I personally think adding Daniel Bryan to that match at WrestleMania is a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Do I think they're planting that seed officially? No. I think they're toying around with it. I think they're seriously considering it. And I think it's a very wise... I don't want to see Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania. Obviously, you know, some are going to be left out. Who do you put Daniel Bryan against between now and WrestleMania? What feud is going to generate between now and a month from now? How do you go from Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns at Fastlane into Daniel Bryan versus someone else at Mania? I don't want to see a random match be put together. Daniel Bryan is right smack in the middle of this storyline. Leave him there. Leave him there. I don't think anybody will complain. Anyway, couple of things. See, I got to keep my timestamps. A few people were a little annoyed that Wednesday I didn't put timestamps. If you tuned into Wednesday's show, I think you pretty much understood why. I went on some of these long rants, and there were multiple topics in a lot of these rants. How do you title that rant as a timestamp? But tonight, I am definitely doing timestamps, obviously. And I want to bring this one up. This is pretty funny. And forgive me if you see me writing some things during the show. I don't socialize that much on social media. Not because I'm a party pooper, but you see what's going on. I mean, people, we don't need to go there. But I so wanted to do this. But then I thought to myself, hey, DT, you're an older guy. That's for a troll to put up. WWE on their WWE Network Twitter account posted this little anniversary that it was 11 years ago today. 11 years ago today, we had the Mysterios in the ring, the potted plant. There is Aliyah, there is Dominic, and there is Ray. You could hear I'm losing my voice a little bit. Did a lot of talking this week. Not just the shows, but in my office too. But look, nice little family portrait, 11 years ago. And why was I going to be a troll? Because I hunted for it. I seeked for it. I found it. And I was going to put it side by side just to be a troll. This was 11 years ago. Pay attention to Aaliyah more than anything else. And I was going to put side by side what her boyfriend looked like 11 years ago. I mean, look, that's twisted. That is twisted. Let's put them side by side. Let's see if we can do it. Oh, love is in the air. Love is in the air. Do, 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 do. Who is that clown from Jersey? That piece of shit, Patrick Shea? Oh, Colin West. Yeah, we were talking about that douchebag yesterday. And thank you, SoFly, for sending me the info. I did read that news article because, that's for those that didn't tune in yesterday, that's the Jersey promoter last week that people discovered that in 1999, he was convicted as a sex offender, I think trying to grope like an 11 or a 12-year-old. What I was talking about yesterday is that people were in tremendous uproar, and yes, that's disgusting. Even if another 11-year-old did that to an 11-year-old, that's disgusting. But people left out the fact that this promoter at the time was 15 years old. It doesn't diminish it, but let's keep it in perspective. It's not like we had a 35-year-old man trying to grope a 12-year-old. 15 years old. Trust me, when I was 15, I had a couple of friends that were 15. I think they still thought they were 7. All right. But this article also talked about at 21 years old, he was arrested and trying to solicit pictures from a 12-year-old boy online, or maybe showing himself, naked. The only issue is that I can't find if he was ever convicted of it. But I want to thank SoFly for sending me that. So now I'm going to do my investigative journalism because a lot of people out there want to know. I want to know too. And I got news for you. Even if he wasn't convicted, the fact that 6 years after he was labeled a sex offender, he was even arrested for that, even on speculation, didn't learn his lesson, became an adult, became a legal age drinking adult. And there was speculation that he did, that guy's done. Yesterday I said I thought it was unfair to dox his information. If he did something really, really dopey and stupid and terrible at 15 years old, maybe 20 years later you learn. No, fuck him. That's what I have to say. By the way, Joey Ryan. We'll talk about Joey Ryan towards the end of the show. No disrespect, but I don't think he's worth prime time part of this show. Yes, I feel the very beginning and up to the middle of the show is prime time. We got the ratings, AEW and NXT, the quarter hour breakdown. Yes, that's a fake laugh, but I am laughing inside. The grizzled young veterans. Remember what I said Wednesday? I hope these motherfuckers had a horrible quarter hour rating. Not because I want to see their demise, but maybe it'll finally get through WWE's head that putting the grizzled young veterans in prime quarters like the 7th quarter, the 6th quarter, the 5th quarter is like you having foreplay or getting intimate with your significant other, and then the fucking phone rings. And then you pick up the phone and things are so ruined, the mood is so ruined that when you hang up the phone and you go back to your significant other, hey, let's pick up where we left off. No, I'm not in the mood anymore. Throw that grizzled young veterans, the grizzled young veterans, the pippets. You put them in quarter 7, and you see that nice little drop we talk about later. They never got the viewers back. How do you do that? How do you do that? Over and over and over again. They didn't learn their lesson with Everrise. So now let's do it with the grizzled young veterans, the pippets. We'll talk about that in a little while. SmackDown. Thought it was a very good show. I like the enforcer idea for next week. Edge will return to the ring. I will say this. Edge's storyline is a little bit all over the place. You know, I thought NXT is what gave him that spark to come back to wrestling. Oh, I thought it was blah, 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 blah. I thought it was this. Now, it was watching Jay and your brother Jimmy in 2015 that gave me the... are we supposed to have, not supposed to... He's all over the place. He's pissed off. He's angry that Daniel Bryan got the opportunity to face Roman Reigns the way he did at Fastlane. I know it's not Edge's fault. Yeah, my hair's all pasty. I went out for a lunch today and I had a lot of hairspray, so it's all flattened down today. But this is not Edge's fault. This is the storyline. Why would Edge be annoyed at Daniel Bryan for winning a cage match to get a title shot? It's just all over the place. Now, may I also say this? Let's get into something I really liked, and then we'll get into something I did not like much. Big E tonight. Going biblical on Apollo's ass. Big E nailed it tonight. Big E nailed it tonight. You know why I loved Big E's promo? This happens to me. Trust me. Not trying to compare myself to Big E. But what I'm about to say, I guarantee you some of you out there will say, yeah, that happens to me too. You ever have this happen to you? And if it hasn't, I guarantee you know someone who has, and you've seen it. You get so angry. You get so enraged that you almost start crying. Do you ever have that happen to you? That you're so angry about something, whatever it is, that you almost start crying. Not that you're sad, but you get this emotion so deep. And that's what happened with Big E tonight. That motherfucker, and I say this with nothing but love, that guy tries to go into a deep, 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 deep place and takes that situation and tries to make it as realistic as possible. And when you go there, you get that emotion. He nailed it tonight. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Apollo tonight couldn't have done any better either. I honestly was very suspect about turning Apollo heel, but he is nailing it. And I am really into the feud with Apollo and Big E. The only problem about all of this, and we were worried 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks later, now we have right to be worried. Don't want to reiterate. You remember first week in January? One of my biggest gripes when we did the January 1st episode of the Don Tony Show, I said, what are they doing with Nakamura? This guy is still in the prime of his career, maybe starting, to begin the tail end. This guy is freaking phenomenal. Why are they wasting this guy? And I know they didn't listen to the show, but it was good timing because then all of a sudden had that incredible match on TV. Then he had another. Then he had another. And it was leading into the Royal Rumble. And Cesaro started having great matches. And we were all giving credit to Daniel Bryan giving input. And then the Royal Rumble came around. And I said, I'm a little concerned of what's going to happen to Nakamura after the Royal Rumble. Is his push legit? And they are elevating him? They even teased him with Roman Reigns. Remember that whole thing? Or was that all a schmaz? And then the road to WrestleMania, Nakamura is an afterthought. 3 or 4 weeks ago, wasn't used, no big deal. Had a loss, no big deal. Then we started being concerned. Look 3 weeks later of what's going on. Look 3 weeks later. I'd love to see Nakamura in NXT, Lee. I don't know if they would do that. I honestly don't know. I will tell you this. As awesome as Finn Balor is, and as a worthy heavyweight champion that Finn Balor is, Finn Balor, I've been doing Patreon now for about 4 years. And one of the most requested person as far as merchandise for those 4 years straight was Finn Balor. Early on, remember those replica NXT titles I got that were autographed by Finn Balor and Samoa Joe? And it was all inscribed with their match and, for the title and everything. I mean, we had so many requests, shirts, whatever it is. I think Finn Balor is starting to lose a lot of his luster in NXT. The ratings prove it over and over and over. His match last week, not spectacular rating. His match with Adam Cole this week, although the overrun kicked in a nice rating. Problem is, too much of what Finn Balor has been seen on NXT over the last 2 months, too much of it has led to very disappointing quarter hours. So it might be time to have another main roster star go to NXT and stay there for the foreseeable future. Nakamura would be an excellent choice. Maybe once the move to Tuesdays, there's still the possibility of Thursday, but it seems more and more that Tuesday might be the day. Once that is official, and you have the entire wrestling audience, I know Impact is on Tuesdays too. They're in trouble. They're in trouble because pay-per-views are not, you got 130, 140 in the viewership. This is after all the AEW appearances and Fin Juice, and now you put NXT on Tuesdays. My God. So let's see what happens. Nakamura on NXT. I love it. By the way, somebody said, hey, you still got the ego plate in the background. Yeah, I decided I'm going to keep one plate and rotate it weekly, not rotate it every show, because I got about 25 plates. But when you do 5 shows a week, 6 shows a week, you go through the plates awfully quickly. So every week we'll keep a different plate in the background. So this week, that is dedicated to Spaceballs, one of my favorite movies of all time. So, Aleister Black to NXT, Aleister Black to Japan, Andrade to Japan, Andrade to Mexico. I'm sure you've heard the rumors. They're more than just rumors. Andrade. And you know what? I feel bad for Andrade because I didn't even have Andrade on my list over here. In fact, I didn't even have Nakamura on my list over here, but I will put him on the timestamps. Okay, Andrade is asked for his release from WWE. Look, they had him with Angel Garza, and I thought the pairing was very good. But you could see they were milking that storyline with Angel Garza too long. Teasing a breakup. This is when Zelina Vega was still there. Teasing a breakup. It went too long, and it fizzled out to nothing. Then, he was off TV for a little while, and that was it. Zelina Vega then was gone, and they never brought him back to TV. Charlotte's fiance or not, still was not used. And let me tell you something. Andrade is extremely talented. But let's also be realistic. That Andrade, something feels like it was always missing. I know a lot of you will remember it. I used to do a show with another co-host. Back then, my co-host at the time said that Andrade is a future heavyweight champion. I don't see that at all. I don't see it at all. I could see him as a secondary champion, but there was just it always felt like something was missing with Andrade. And the shame is that you look at the WWE roster, you look at Raw, you look at SmackDown. There are so many people that Andrade would have to leap over to get any type of momentum whatsoever. I mean, look at Nakamura. Look what's happening to him now. You look at Keith Lee, and look what happened to him. He'll be on TV any week now. In fact, it might even happen Monday. So just remember that. But there are so many wrestlers that should be a lot further than where they are, and they're not. And you think Andrade is going to leapfrog anybody? Look at Angel Garza. Angel Garza obviously was dealing with injury. But look what happened to him. That guy's stock has dramatically dropped. He's still extremely young. And Angel Garza, I believe, will be a big star in the future. But man, you look at Angel Garza from 6 months ago. Look at the beginning of the year. He won the 24/7 title right at the beginning of the year. And I know the 24/7 title. I know it, you don't have to tell me. But, even ending 2020, Angel Garza was one of the bright spots of 2020. Look what they're doing with him now. So it is a shame. It is a shame that Andrade did not go further than he did. But unfortunately, there are some people out there that do not click. It's not their fault. It's not WWE's fault. It's not the writer's fault. You got these people on social media, just put him on TV and give him wins. The fuck does that mean? That's what they did before. Look at his win-loss record. Look when he first came in. What do you mean, put him on TV and give him wins? It doesn't, unfortunately, in the world of entertainment, it only gets you so far, wins and losses. You have to have a character. You have to have a connection. You have to click with the audience. And, I've been a fan since '79. I don't know how long a lot of you have been fans of pro wrestling. But we all gotta, if you haven't gotten it through your head yet, get it through your head. This is entertainment. It's entertainment. It is predetermined. It was interesting, and I brought this up before. When I started my wrestling hotline in 1997, it's infamous. I did a poll once, and I asked people out there, how many of you think ECW is real? Even some of it. And it was like 70 or 80% of the people who called my hotline, and I was the biggest hotline in the country, they thought that some of what you see on TV with ECW was real. They just cornered the market as far as reality. And yes, violence and violence that hurts help enhance reality. If I legitimately crack something over your head, we may actually think a little bit more than maybe the two people really don't like each other. But the thing, Twix, you haven't been listening to me since '94. I was around in '97. That's that. But here's where I'm going with this. You look at, wrestling today. When Ring of Honor many years ago started getting on the scene, they're like, no. I even think their management said this. Like, Ring of Honor is more sport than entertainment. No, it's not. They're all entertainment. If the outcome of the match is predetermined, you're entertainment. Your perception of what your entertainment is different. Just like some of these promotions out there that do the uber goofy stuff. You see it. You see these matches that take place in a lot of the indies that is just crazy comedy. It's nothing but comedy. I mean, the Joey Ryan dick flip. I used to rip it to shreds all the time. The fact that it... And then, that, to me, that's a little too far-fetched. But, if you look at your audience, and your audience are all there going... This is awesome. How do you not do it? So everybody in wrestling is entertainment. How it's perceived in the eye of the beholder is what it is. AEW, I see people more and more saying to me, look, AEW said they were going to be different. Now they're just like another form of WWE. Yeah, it's entertainment. What do you think it was? I mean, the comment that Cody made one time, that they're never going to have a general manager because he doesn't want to insult the fans' intelligence. That's why I don't do interviews. Because whoever interviewed Cody and Cody made a remark like that, I would turn around respectfully and say, what the hell does that mean? What does that even mean? You're going to insult fans' intelligence by having a general manager because they know the general manager really doesn't have authority? Well, what about the outcomes of all the matches? What about matches that are put together? Just impromptu on the spot. Get a referee. There's so many things. It didn't make sense. It sounded good. So WWE, if you haven't gotten it through your head, you got to get it through your head. They are heavy on character development. If a character, no matter how talented they are, if they don't click with the fans, and it results in a lot of negative social media or piss poor ratings, they're going to get pulled. Or they're going to get thrown. Remember when they made that prediction several years ago that WWE was going to put FTR in a ridiculously stupid comedy storyline? I didn't have any insiders telling me, DT, they're going to put the revival, excuse me. They're going to put the revival in a really dumb comedy storyline. No, they were excellent. The revival were great. But unfortunately for WWE in 2019, they're not into brainbusters type tag teams. You had to have more. And as good as the revival was, they just were not clicking with fans. Even though one of them helped Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame. But they couldn't connect, so what did they do? They put him in that horrible, goofy storyline with the Usos. Remember that? Saw that a mile away. Andrade, unfortunately, without some character development, it's always going to be the situation he's in. There's nothing that you can do that is going to... I don't want to be a jerk about this, but instead of these goofs on social media ripping WWE for the way Andrade was used, how's about ripping all of the social media accounts that cracked all these jokes about Andrade when he was on TV? Mediocre, sucks, I go to sleep, I change the channel, human Xanax, this and that, blah, 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 blah. All those people that criticized him, well, now he's asking for his release, and now suddenly it's WWE's fault. I'm not a defender of WWE a lot, but this is just a case where he didn't click. He didn't click. They're not all goofs, Hydro. I'm a goof sometimes. I admit it. I'm a goof too. But I work my ass off. So I guess I can be a goof once in a while. By the way, shout out to the family. Much love, my brothers. So let me bring up the other thing that I didn't like about SmackDown tonight. On Monday with Mish, I said, bet you they put Reggie in a little love storyline with Nia Jax. And I even cracked the joke that maybe we'll see something even funnier and kind of like hinting of a menage a trois. Now, we're not going to see any sexual storyline on TV, but Reginald is suddenly Nia Jax's bae. A bae. Look at my bae. I freaking hate. I hate with a passion that they are using Reggie this much for the falling out between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for this WrestleMania match. They are good on their own. The EST versus the boss. That's all you need. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair arguing that I didn't tell you to slap him. I didn't tell you to do this. Ha 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 ha. With Sasha with the fake laughs. I didn't tell you to bring him out. That's your problem. You made him think this. Your problem. Reggie. I'm done with this. It's your problem. You brought him out here. I didn't. I fucking hate it that WWE thinks that putting Reggie on this literal pole or a figurative pole is the reason that Sasha and Bianca Belair are angrier at each other. That is awful. Awful. Stupid. You have Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair today, two of the top women in the company, and they're talking like they're 9-year-olds in school. You're the one that made him think he had a crush on you. You're the one that made him think he had interest in you. You're the one that brought him out here. I didn't tell you to slap him. Girl, no, it's no, that's not how you say it. It's girl. What are you, fucking 11? That's not their fault. This is the WWE shit. Oh, you're gonna get fully out. The best thing that could happen, and I'm not wishing this literally, the best thing that could happen, do another one of those closed segments with Reginald, with those shoes. By the way, trying out all these clothes in a store. It's storyline, obviously. But he's putting on all these clothes. You have everything you want. Then he's wearing shoes with no fucking socks on. The next time you go to a fucking shoe store, I want to try this on. Just think that there might be a Reginald or a Don Tony. I got to put myself in it so people don't think, oh, we're talking race. Just think that some person might have tried on those shoes before you without socks on. Why are they doing this? Fucking Reginald is the heat between Bianca and Sasha. That is horrible. Not horrible, horrible. You know, like Vince, you ruined it. Remember, it's not you ruined it. You got to put an H before it. You ruined it, damn it. You ruined it. Ruined it. That's horrible. It's not COVID feet. I'm not even talking about COVID. It's sweat. It's toe jam. It's walking around the fucking floor. I gotta go, you know what? Before I put my sock, I gotta go take a leak. That's what it is. Yes. Just think Al Bundy married with children. Just imagine, especially you're in Florida, with all that extra heat and sweat. Somebody got, ooh, look at those shoes. Let me try them on. And you don't have fucking socks on? I hate that they're putting Reggie in this, man. Fucking hate it. I don't know why. I don't know why they think they have to do that. It's stupid. Very stupid. By the way, if you don't mind, as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Shout out to everybody live, by the way. If you're enjoying tonight's show, you know, smash that like button. The more you do it. And my God, yesterday, I love all of you for enjoying that wrestling stuff as much as you did yesterday. I mean, not only did everybody smash the freaking like button, yesterday I think it was like 950 likes to like 2 thumbs down. Now, I know somebody out there just right now will probably go, hey, let me give it a thumbs down. Let me add it to look, if you really don't like the show, give it a thumbs down. I'd rather you be honest, seriously. But if you're enjoying the show, smash the like button. I appreciate it. So, guys, gals who are live, which would you rather me get into next? Would you rather me finish covering SmackDown, or do you want me to get into the quarter hour ratings with AEW and NXT? I will let you choose. By the way, if you're not aware of it already, WrestleMania week. Holy shit. The amount. I'm watching all your choices. Keep writing. I want to bring up something about WrestleMania. Holy shit. Talk about back in business. Have you seen what the assumed or the early schedule is for WWE for WrestleMania week and following? Okay, most of you are saying SmackDown. So we'll get into the rest of SmackDown. Then we'll tackle ratings. We'll talk a little bit Joey Ryan, this Matarazzi, and then we'll get out of here. As of right now, the schedule for WWE WrestleMania week, right before Mania and right after this. All right, they're going to have Raw, obviously. Then on that Tuesday, it is rumored right now that Tuesday will be the Hall of Fame ceremony. Now, that's going to be really interesting because they're doing 2 Hall of Fame ceremonies. They're doing 2020 and 2021. Now, I know some of you out there feel that, look, just celebrate 2020. They didn't get the opportunity last year. Bring them out there. Molly Holly is the first inductee for 2021. If anybody out there truly is against putting Molly Holly in the Hall of Fame for this year, you know what I mean? It's like, and by the way, that segment that they showed today, I know a lot of people had not seen that, but to have the Hurricane like break that news to Molly and to see the legit emotions, I know there's no physical Hall of Fame. But when you see the emotion like that, you know that it's real. It's real. That's why, I mean, sort of what I said on social media was doing this to people out there. But when I posted that photo on Wednesday of Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon crying, that's real. That's real. And I agree that there's way too many titles in WWE. But you have an entire women's division outside of Io Shirai. They have nothing to gun for. There's no other titles. So you saw that emotion of winning those titles. That means a shitload to them. If we like to be entertained by what we see on TV, if you like the women's division of NXT, if you like the hard work that they put in, any effort, and it's not, eye candy novelty matches anymore, then you should say it like this to yourself. You know what? I love watching wrestling. I love watching the NXT women. So if a pair of tag team titles make them happy and give them an incentive to actually go for something, then we should be nothing but happy for them. You play fantasy sports. Fantasy baseball's coming back. Imagine playing fantasy baseball and there's no championship. You're just playing week to week. And you mean to tell me when you look at the standings and you're in first place, but there's no title at the end, you think that feels good? No. Your goal is to beat the shit out of everybody in your fantasy league. And when you win it, you turn around and you laugh at everyone and you throw it in their face. Boom, shakalaka. I don't know why I thought of that, but you want to go for something. You want to grab it. So Molly Holly being put in the Hall of Fame, I love it. I brought it up yesterday. I had met her a couple of times, and I actually had the privilege of working a VPW show with her. And she was extremely nice. You would have never thought that she had any WWF or WCW career. You would have never thought. She just was like your everyday person. As sweet as she comes off on TV and over the years is really how she is in real life. So I am perfectly fine with 2 Hall of Fame ceremonies this year. So we have, right before WrestleMania, Raw on Monday, Hall of Fame on Tuesday, the first night of NXT TakeOver on Wednesday, the second night of NXT TakeOver on Thursday. Somebody told me that NXT UK is also taking place on that Thursday. Then on Friday, you have SmackDown. You have 205 Live, the matches being taped. Then you have WrestleMania on Saturday. Then you have WrestleMania on Sunday. Then on that Monday, you have Raw. And if the date sticks, that Tuesday is NXT. That's like 9 straight days of wrestling. Then you add in AEW on that Wednesday. You want to go a day before? We are going to have wrestling overload a month from now. Get some no-dos, get some coffee, store up some of that energy, because there is going to be so much shit going down. And it's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be awesome. Not just for WWE, but all of the wrestling companies that can now start having some fans. And look, some fans have been in events. We've had the drive-in events, which was an idea I had said early last year. Trust me, they didn't listen to me and that was DT's idea. No, a lot of you came up with that idea also. Great minds think alike. But be prepared, get ready, because we are going to have a boatload of wrestling the beginning of April. And let's see what happens. I'll tell you, once that 2 weeks of wrestling goes away, we definitely going to need a little bit of a breather. Definitely need a breather somewhere. So, Jay Carlos, with all due respect, how they booked Andrade in NXT, how is it not the writer's fault? No, I'm not talking about NXT. I'm talking about the main roster. Andrade in NXT was excellent, but unfortunately, you can't simply just demote someone. And believe me, I know some of you out there do not, and I'm with you. I do not feel that taking a main roster star and putting him on NXT is a demotion. I don't call it a demotion, but obviously the TV, the exposure, the pay-per-view, the revenue, the merchandise, it's not the same when NXT. Look at the audience, 600,000 to 700,000 fans compared to 2 million plus. You sign someone to a contract like that, and it's big bucks. And this is something you really got to understand too. You really got to understand this. NXT is still pretty much the developmental for Raw and SmackDown. Some of the wrestlers in NXT don't view it that way, but that's what it is. If it wasn't that, then Rhea Ripley would not need to go to Raw. Or the rumors of Dakota Kai being brought to SmackDown. The goal is to be on Raw or SmackDown. That is the $1 billion TV deal. All right, that is the deal. You didn't see Fox ink a deal. We want NXT. We need Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes. No, they want Raw or SmackDown. And here's where I go with Andrade. I want to see once in a while somebody brought from the main roster to NXT. We brought up Nakamura earlier. The thing is you can't take each person who is not clicking on the main roster for an extended period of time. You have a lot of money invested in these wrestlers. You may not think that $200,000 is a lot of money, but it is. And if you have someone on the level of Andrade, which I guarantee you gets more than that, you're not going to turn around and put someone making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to work in NXT. And the reason why you don't do that is NXT is still a developmental for the main roster. You need to develop these stars. You know, if Everrise or Killian Dane or some of the younger talents, Legado del Fantasma, even though Santos Escobar is older, but Karrion Kross, others, you know, they got to go to the main roster sooner or later if you want them to turn into bigger stars. You're not going to start flooding NXT with main roster talent that are just not getting over or just not clicking, because then it hurts all of the young stars trying to make a name for themselves. You know, that's what it is. You think LA Knight is going to stay in NXT for an extended period of time? If he really clicks and he gels, he's going to Raw or SmackDown. You can't have these main stars flood NXT and then the young stars trying to find a name and develop and hone their skills. Look at everybody that gets signed. Parker Boudreaux. Look at, what's his face, Ridge Holland before he got injured. Look at some of these younger stars. They have to build and develop, and it's not easy when you start tinkering with that. Thoughts on Danhausen, Russell? I like him. I give him an A+ for his hustle on social media. That guy, realistically, I think a lot of places, if he sent in like tapes, I think a lot of places would be like, pfft. But he sticks to it, believes in his shit, just is very creative. And I hope he makes it to one of these bigger promotions one day. There are some wrestlers out there that don't want to make it to the big time because maybe the schedule is too tough. Maybe they're content with more of a part-time schedule, being with family. Maybe they have business outside of wrestling that once wrestling is over, they don't want to lose that opportunity. So I like Danhausen. I like his hustle online. I say this all the time. Even some podcasters that I don't like, all right, I have nothing but respect for the hard work and the hustle that they put in. Because, you know, I realize how much work it is to not only prepare for shows or edit and record and mingle with all of you and organize and codex and record and upload and post it and, you know, running a website and bandwidth and storage. And, you know, there is a ton of work. It ain't just, it's not just, hold on. It's not just, hey, everybody, what's going on? How you doing, everybody? Good night. I wish it was that easy. They hustle, they work their ass off. So I will always have respect for someone who puts in hard work. You know, I prefer hard work over excuses. Excuses should not factor in. And Danhausen, he believes in his shit, and I hope he gets it one. That's why even Warhorse, wasn't that Warhorse? I think that was. He had that match with Cody. I put Danhausen in the same situation. They believed in their shit, got some attention on social media, and I give Cody credit for giving him that match. But did you see him after that? No. You know, so that's all. So anyway, let's talk about SmackDown. SmackDown, very easy show to cover today, especially when you realize that the first half of SmackDown, the first hour, only 2 matches. First hour. This is what I talked about on Wednesday, that I understand AEW tries to give a little something for everyone. But remember my sauce analogy? You make a nice tomato sauce. You know, there's not that many ingredients in a really good tomato sauce. You start adding 5, 10 extra ingredients that are not necessary, I guarantee you that sauce tastes like shit. What the hell is this extra thing that I taste in here? My secret sauce. I don't even want to know what that secret sauce is. SmackDown tonight, simple. Case in point, SmackDown opens up today. Now, some of it I may not have liked. Edge opens up, and like I said, I don't know why he doesn't like how Daniel Bryan earned his title match at Fastlane. What specifically is he talking about? Edge coming out and talking about how he, helped build SmackDown, and he brings up some of his foes in the past, from The Undertaker to Eddie Guerrero, even name dropped Mr. Perfect, although I don't think that was really more than maybe one match, British Bulldog and others. And, he's back because he loves this. And he, recaps what Roman Reigns said, recaps what Daniel Bryan said, and Daniel Bryan comes out. And they have a back and forth, and, Daniel Bryan saying once again that, who knows, this could be his last WrestleMania. And he's going for it. And the only thing I didn't like about this segment is for 15 to 20 minutes, these two people argued with each other about how much they love being in the ring, how much they love doing this. Anybody out there feel like me, like, all right, for 15, 20 minutes, all they did was, pun intended, talk smack. They should be battling fisticuffs. I wanted to see that lead to a match. And guess what? That's why I think adding Daniel Bryan to the main event match at WrestleMania is necessary. Because that back and forth that they had tonight, it makes zero sense if it doesn't lead to them wanting to fight each other. I mean, going out there and cutting a promo for 15 minutes is all nice and dandy, but, you didn't come back because you love talking 15-minute promos and not actually wrestling. And that's another thing. Daniel Bryan last week talks about how he's wrestled more matches in 3 weeks than Edge has wrestled in 3 months. Edge recaps it tonight, and there's no match. Kind of like proved what Daniel Bryan said, even though we are getting a match with Edge next week, which I like. Oh, he name dropped Terry Funk also, which was nice because Terry Funk obviously not in the greatest of health right now, more pain and arthritis than anything else. I liked the segment, but it left me with wanting to see these two guys going at it. So if Daniel Bryan gets added to the main event match, then mission accomplished by WWE. So now we get the Street Profits, Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, beating Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, Chad Gable, and Otis. Fun match. You had Rey and Dominic hitting the double 619 on Robert Roode, Montez Ford with the splash. But I hated this match for one reason. Anybody know that reason? Anybody have a problem with this match tonight? Anybody have a problem with two certain people being on the same team? Do you remember Valentine's Day? All the sabotage that Dolph Ziggler did for Otis and Mandy Rose, and to see these two on the team acting like nothing ever happened, I hated it. I could see doing something in a backstage segment a week or two ago that kind of like if, Otis doesn't give a shit about Mandy Rose anymore, or even if, trust me, believe me, I think this would have worked. Even if Otis would have went to Dolph Ziggler in a backstage segment a week or two ago and said, listen, I know we had our problems in the past, but I want to thank you. I want to thank you for opening my eyes on that tramp Mandy Rose or something like that. I'm not saying to call her a tramp. She's not a tramp, obviously. But they could have done a segment where Otis thanked Dolph Ziggler for trying to make me see what I didn't see. And that would have cleared up the stupidity of Otis and Dolph Ziggler teaming up tonight. See how simple that is? And they don't think about that. You got to give some creative freedom with some of these stars. Yesterday, I put on some footage of me and cutting a promo. And, you know, for those that didn't see yesterday, I'm not going to spend more than 30 seconds on this, but I've talked about this over the years. When I started going to a wrestling school and they let me start working shows, I came up with an idea once, because the matches that we used to have was in Suffolk County, Long Island, about 90 minutes away from Howard Beach. Howard Beach, unfortunately, is well known for wrong reasons. You think of John Gotti, you think of New Park Pizza, you think of some, you know, racial overtones 30, 40 years ago. But I thought Howard Beach is a toxic name, and wouldn't that be something if I have one section of the building taped off just for Howard Beach people that I knew. And what I did was I had 2 buses of people go to this event, all from Howard Beach. They all sat on one side of the ring, including my brother, my 2 nieces, and other people. And I came out and I hugged them all, and I gave them food, and I gave them drinks. They had 6-foot heroes, they had soda, they had wine, and the other 3 sections in the building all sat there and watched this one section eat and drink all night long for free. And you had to see some people legitimately pissed off about this. Why am I bringing this up? Because they let me have the creative freedom to actually do something that, and I think, look, WWE obviously is the big time and professional, but trust me, if these wrestlers had a little more creative freedom, you would have saw a segment where to clear up the air between Otis and Dolph Ziggler before tonight. And something as simple as Otis thanking Dolph Ziggler, which would on the surface seem stupid, but Otis, thank you for making me realize, you know, and that's it. Then you can have them team up. But they just threw it out there like we're not supposed to remember. I agree, Kevin Milwaukee. Creative freedom means everything. WWE, obviously, it has to be kept under control because you don't want people going off the main script. But they have to be able to inject some more ideas, seriously. So this match was fun, but I couldn't get past Dolph Ziggler and Otis being on the same team. Here's another segment I thought was a little confusing. We're in the back. Jey Uso sees Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman standing in front of Roman Reigns' locker room. Jey Uso wants to go in the room. And Paul Heyman's like, when was the last time you talked to Roman Reigns? He's like, I talked to him 2 days ago. He was fine yesterday. And, you know, Paul Heyman is saying, you know, it's Friday. And basically, the story is that Roman Reigns is not too thrilled with Jey Uso right now. Okay, that's fine. Later, there seems like no tension with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns for the most part at all. Okay? All right. I thought that kind of fell flat because if Jey Uso's been around Roman Reigns several times, including yesterday, and then now, you know, like there's something wrong, I don't know. It just felt a little messy. Seth Rollins cutting a great promo, looking dapper with the plaid. Cutting a great promo, talking about Cesaro has been the biggest waste of potential he's ever seen. And then Seth Rollins finds out that there's a rematch tonight. Buddy Murphy, you know, no longer, I guess, dating Aaliyah, against Cesaro. And Seth Rollins like, oh, rematch. So Cesaro and Murphy have a match. Cesaro's about to put the Cesaro swing on Murphy. Seth Rollins hits the ring for the DQ win for Cesaro, beats the crap out of him, hits him with curb stomps, pull apart. Cesaro versus Rollins has to be on Fastlane. Thank you, Smoking Hydro. He's trying to tell everybody out there, if you're enjoying the show, because it does help me, smash that like button. I got to hide behind the thing. There you go. Smash that like button because that tells YouTube that you're enjoying the show, and the more that happens, the more they recommend the show to others. So we are going to get Rollins versus Cesaro. It's got to happen. It could happen at Mania also, but I think maybe you have a match at Fastlane, and maybe it leads to something even more intensified. I just don't like. I mean, I'm happy that Murphy is back on TV, but this return pairing that's not really a return pairing, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Don't know how I feel about that. Sami Zayn and his documentary crew are in the back. He's trying to convince Kevin Owens to be part of his documentary. Kevin Owens agrees, but he's got to do the KO segment, with Sasha and Bianca Belair, the Kevin Owens show. And as I said before, the segment before the match was okay, but, again, talking about the Reggie stuff, it feels so freaking forced. The best versus the boss. That's it. You know what it reminds me of? Anybody think about this? You know what that reminds me of? Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk. We didn't have no female Reginald involved in that storyline. And they made a plaque out of it because I gave one away on my shows. It was, remember, the Beast versus the Best. You mean to tell me you can't simply do that same thing? Instead of the Beast versus the Best, the EST versus the Boss. That's it. This Reginald stuff is forced. I got a kick out of Kevin Owens with his joke to Sasha Banks. Thank you for all the paychecks, because, Sasha is obviously one of the most popular and successful wrestlers, performers in WWE right now. But, Sasha Banks with those forced laughs. Ha 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 ha! I'm the Michael Jordan. And maybe one day you'll be the LeBron James. Ha ha ha! Ha ha! I sound more like the person, the guy from Family Guy than anything else. I don't like it. I don't like it with the Reginald stuff. Leave the Reginald stuff out because it makes them look 15 years old, don't they? Don't they come off more like teenagers, like fighting over a boy than anything else? These are grown fucking women. These are the top women in WWE. And he's your crush. He's your crush. He's not my crush. I smacked him. You shouldn't have smacked him. Yeah, whatever. No, it's not. It's What are you, 15? God, I feel like I'm watching What's Happening. Remember? Remember? Whatever it was. I haven't seen that in so long. It was boring, man. Very boring. So, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler come out. They go on commentary. Reginald is there as well. And then we get Tamina and Natty versus Sasha and Bianca. And let me tell you why I hated this also. What was the point of last week's segment with Sonya Deville telling Tamina and Natty, as far as the match at Fastlane, that she would have done something different? So if you carry it into the next week, it seems like Sonya Deville has input, and tonight we get Bianca and Sasha versus Tamina and Natty. They go over because Reginald distracts Bianca and Bianca loses. Where is Sonya Deville suddenly in all of this? And here's the worst part. I don't know if you caught on to this. What's up, AS? Oh, by the way, shout out to you again. For those that tuned in on Wednesday, I know some of you didn't tune in yesterday. First off, and this was my apology yesterday, when you see screen names here, because of it, I'm used to it being a male-dominated sport, I immediately assumed that AS7607 was a man. AS7607 is a woman. She's been a loyal supporter of this show for about 14 years now. And remember Wednesday, she was in a hospital, and she was worried that she might have COVID. She has COVID. And very nervous about it, scared, rightfully so. But, as I said yesterday, and I'm not a doctor, but you follow your doctor's orders, rest, just do what you have to do, and don't force it. Don't get rattled. Because trust me, anybody out there, when you get under stress, you gain weight. You get under stress, you retain water. You get under stress, you don't feel good. You get stressed while you're under COVID, it's not going to make it better. So just stay strong. I know everyone out there is very supportive, and get well. A week from now, I want to see, no lies, I want to see you telling me in the chat that you feel much better. So, yeah, loss of appetite, loss of taste, smell. Some tuning in right now have had COVID. So just do everything that the doctors tell you. And hopefully, like I said, by this time next week, we'll have some wonderful news. So, yeah, just hang in there. Relax. Before you know it, the week will be gone. It'll go quick. Just relax. Like I said, as ridiculous as this sounds, it's better that you got it now than a year ago with all of the additional remedies they have there for treatment. So, but you have our support without a doubt. Yeah, Hydro, I know personally, Hydro caught it. Kicked its ass. Kicked its ass. We are strong. We are strong. So, getting back to SmackDown, Tamina and Natty win. And I don't know if you caught on to this tonight. Tamina and Natty last week complained to Sonya Deville that they should get a title shot. So explain to me, after they win the match tonight, in the ring, you have Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Reginald, Tamina, and Natty all standing and laughing at Sasha. Why is Tamina and Natty standing next to the women's tag team champions like they're best buddies? I thought that was stupid. You complain to Sonya Deville in storyline. You complain. You want a shot at these titles. You win. You get in their face. Like they do with the waist. And they're standing there like they're all buddies at a barbecue with a drink in their hand. Hey, everybody. Hey, it gives me an excuse to drink. They're like this. They're like standing there like. Sam, Nia Jax and Tamina are cousins. So, the story is that they want the tag titles. End of story. That's what it is. And they're standing there like they're chums. They should have been in their face. Tamina should have been in Nia's face. As far as the titles go. So I thought that was a little stupid. I don't know if they're legit cousins. Yeah, no, wait, whoa. I don't think they're legit cousins. They might be. No, actually, no, the more you think about it. Yeah, okay. Cousins, sisters, best friends, lovers, doesn't matter. The storyline is that they want the titles. As I opened this show with, Big E cutting arguably the best promo of his career. Passionate, felt real. I mean, he's talking about how he's got to go biblical on Apollo. And I was typing away with what Big E was saying because it was so good. He said that, there's no coming back from this. Apollo, you opened up Pandora's box. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Eye for an eye. And this I loved because this is how yours truly operates. And I guarantee you this is how a lot of you operate out there. The only difference is we are nobodies and peons and Big E is this big star. But Big E says about Apollo, you come here to hurt me, I come here to maim you. You step on my lawn, I destroy your house. See what that means? You do a little thing, I do something 1,000 times worse. Beating you is not enough. Now I got to end you. It's funny, like, I've said this about me in the past with relationships. I break up with someone, I don't want to talk to them ever again. You know, and I dated someone about 7-8 years ago, and it didn't work out. And, you know, we went our separate ways. And she said to me, because her father was good friends with my father, and she's like, you know, if I see you in your dad's store, you know, I could say hello, right? I'm like, if you see me, just look the other way. And she's like, oh, my God. You know, it didn't work out. I don't want to. But the thing is that even when people cross me, you know, you might think it's, oh, no big deal. Me, that's it. Disowned, gone, over. So I love Big E. You step on my lawn, you step on my grass, I destroy your entire house. You step on my toe, I squash you like a grape. I know you didn't say that, but you see what I mean. You do this, I do this. And what I loved about Big E's promo, and I'll say it again, I said it earlier, so passionate, he almost started crying. And you know what I'm talking about. Not in tears, sad tears, but you get so intense and so irate and angry that emotions overcome you. He nailed it. Freaking nailed it. So he wants Apollo. He's begging Apollo to come out. Apollo doesn't come out. So Big E announces an open challenge. Anybody that wants to come out here, try to get some for the IC title. Corbin's music hits. Corbin is not dressed. Corbin kind of teasing like he would get in there, but he's not dressed in this and that. So out of nowhere, Sammy's like, I accept the challenge. I accept the challenge. And you get more of this comedy fodder with Corbin and Sami Zayn. You know, no, I said I had the challenge. Now, I thought originally when they were bickering as far as who's going to be in the match, I thought Big E was going to say, I'll take on both of you. 3-way. But they're trying to save, for some reason, Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin. So Big E says the first one that runs in the ring first will face me, and Sami Zayn's in there in 2 seconds. And I love this segment because you always hear me say this all the time. Sami Zayn's like, no. Too late. You snooze, you lose. It's one of my lines. You snooze, you lose. You know, you don't grab something when it's available. You snooze, you lose. I always say that. So Sami Zayn has a match with Big E. Excellent match. They still got the production thing, and this is really being filmed for something. So I'm very curious to see what this amounts to, but it is coming to a close soon. But in the end, Big E retains his championship. And, you know, we see where it goes from here. We get a backstage segment. Oh my God, I forget the best part of this. Ooh, forgive me. After the match is over, Apollo comes out and gets the upper hand on Big E again. And Apollo is jaw-jacking and bad-mouthing Big E, and he says, the only thing you're going to continue doing is taking these beatings. Takes out the steps again, brings it in the ring, and smashes Big E in the shoulder with it. Big E rolls out, and Big E's on the floor, like pissed off. And then Apollo just kind of finishes him off for today. Lays him out. And I liked, you know, I'm getting used to Apollo with the accent, the Nigerian accent. But he put the steps in the ring, and he stood on top of it. And to me, it looked like someone winning the gold medal in an Olympics, right? Standing right in the middle, like I expected two people to be standing. Actually, you want to know something? He should have added those two security guys standing next to him, not on the steps, and it would have looked like an Olympic gold medal ceremony. Apollo standing on the steps, the two security guys standing lower. And we'll see if this is going to lead to Fastlane, or they could somehow continue this to Mania. But I like it. I like it a lot. We get another backstage segment with Nia and her new bae, Reginald, and they're talking to Kyla Braxton. And then Kyla Braxton is kind of like getting personal, like, you know, is there like a love interest here? And Kayla's like, get out of here. You know, leave the room. Three's a crowd. So, we haven't seen any kissing or anything like that, but I think we're starting to realize that Reginald will probably cost them the match at Fastlane, and we'll have that official complete falling out, and then leads to WrestleMania. That's what it kind of feels like. So Sam wants me to go right for WWE. I've said it before. If a wrestling company out there wanted to hire me, and even if it was for like some part-time work or to do something, I would do it. I would do it. And that's different. For 20 years, people ask me, oh, would you work this or would you do this? Behind the scenes stuff, obviously, not on camera. But I always said, no, I don't want it to interfere with my personal life. If I could do it and still do the stuff I do, my real job, I would do it in a second. Seriously, I would do it. So, but I don't think anybody's going to be calling. So, even though I work cheap. Stefan, I don't know if any of those promotions would be interested, to be honest with you. But anyway, main event tonight wasn't a match, contract signing. Roman Reigns comes out there, Daniel Bryan, and I tell you, of all of the contract signings before, the last year, I kind of like this one the most. I mean, Daniel Bryan just sometimes really nails it with a promo. It's not over the top. It's not really, scripted, but it just flows. He kind of has the same mentality as Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens obviously is in a league of his own. But Daniel Bryan, watch that segment again, just look at Roman Reigns' face as Daniel Bryan is talking shit to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is just looking annoyed and flustered, and all right, I loved it. And then, Jey Uso, once again getting involved, don't show about respect and this and that. You better show respect. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, Edge had a backstage segment with Jey Uso earlier in the day, and we joked about it earlier. Edge telling Jey Uso, like, back in 2015, I saw a match with you and your brother, and that gave me that extra, to come back. And then like I said, I thought about NXT. Oh, it was NXT that gave me that drive to come back. So that's a little all over the place. But you want to know something? I think Edge, and I'm just guessing here, I think Edge picked up on that. I'm not kidding. I think when Edge cut that promo to Jey Uso tonight and said that your match, you and your brother back in 2015, I think he may have immediately thought of what he said in NXT, and he said you were part of it, that helped. And I would not be surprised. I mean, we'll never know the answer, but I would not be surprised if Edge picked up on that and said, wait a minute, I already said NXT was the reason why. But this comes back into play later on because Jey Uso gets in Daniel Bryan's face, and Jey Uso says that this match at Fastlane needs a special enforcer. Somebody that'll call it down the middle. Now, obviously, Jey Uso wouldn't call it down the middle because of Roman Reigns. Adam Pearce is there, and before Adam Pearce could say anything in response to Jey Uso, Edge's music hits. Edge comes out. He thinks Jey Uso's idea is a great idea, so he proposes a match next week. Next week, Edge versus Jey Uso, and the winner is the special enforcer for the match at Fastlane. Now, I know what you're going to say to me. Why not just have it a special guest referee? My only guess to that, and I think this is probably what it is, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking the same thing. Edge is not a referee. And you're not going to have a heavyweight title match the way this is and have Edge, who is not experienced really as a referee at all, may have done one here and there, rather than have him be the focus, because then you got to have a whole new storyline. Will Edge cut it down the middle? Are they going to do, because there is no weeks left. You got to remember that. There are no weeks left. This isn't like Edge wins the match next week, so the week after, he gets in Daniel Bryan's face. He gets in Roman Reigns' face. And the story is, could Edge call it down the middle, or could he favor this, or could he try to screw Daniel Bryan so he gets the match? You see where I'm going with this? After next Friday SmackDown, there is no more SmackDown before Fastlane. So by him being just an enforcer, it allows a regular referee to referee this match. And I guess Edge, I don't know, is he outside the ring? Is this like the Mike Tyson thing? This obviously is just to get Edge involved in some way during that match. And if it ends up being a three-way at WrestleMania, obviously something will happen at Fastlane where maybe Edge spears Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Who knows? Maybe the end of the match at Fastlane ends up in a no contest. Maybe we get some bullshit finish out of it, and that leads to the three-way. In fact, the more I think about it, the more that might actually be. Neil, thank you for the kind words. My dad is doing okay. I took him to the heart doctor today, and doctor said so far so good, but the doctor gave my father a tongue lashing, told him stop lifting 24 cans of soda, the suitcases, stop driving, stop doing this, relax. 2 more weeks, come see me again, and we'll go from there. So freaking stitches haven't even healed yet in his heart, and the freaking guy is trying to live normal again. So, but yeah, thank you, Neil, for that. I really appreciate that. So the contract signing is done. Next week we get that match, and I think pretty much guaranteed Edge will win that match. But it's nice to see Edge actually back on TV again, and it's good they did it. They announced it a week in advance. Something to look forward to. Be very curious to see what SmackDown's rating next week. So, speaking of ratings, let's talk AEW's Quarter Hour, NXT's Quarter Hour. Interesting. Once I get into both, I will read you their numbers side by side. There were many quarters that were very close, but you could see a specific part of the night where fans tuned away from NXT and did not come back. Got to give it to NXT, though. Their ratings were very consistent except for one quarter. And AEW, very consistent except for one quarter as well. So let's do it. AEW. Now, a lot of people are saying that this rating overall is very disappointing coming off of Revolution, especially that they're saying that it was the biggest buy rate that they've gotten to date, and it might have been the biggest wrestling buy rate since 1999 for a wrestling company that is not named WWF or WWE. We'll see. Those are early numbers. We'll get the official numbers soon. Trust me, there'll be press releases everywhere if AEW got the buy rate they did. They got my $49.99. All right. Hour 1, AEW, right? Hour 1, 746,000 viewers. Hour 2, 740,000 viewers for a composite of 743. You heard that right. Both quarters were almost identical. Now, remember last week? 1.13 million viewers for Shaq. That curiosity factor was there, obviously. Did not carry over this week. Quarter 1, which was Matt Jackson versus Ray Phoenix, opened up with 756,000 viewers. NXT almost beat him in that quarter, but didn't. In fact, NXT did not beat AEW in any quarter, but they came awfully close multiple times. So, quarter 1, Matt Jackson versus Ray Phoenix, 756. Quarter 2, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston cracking jokes about the main event from Sunday, Cody versus Seth Gargis, and then the skirmish, the promo exchange, the brawl, the pull-apart between Penta and Cody. That quarter hour dropped 5,000 viewers to 751. I think some people will be surprised at that. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy at the video games. Sting and Lance Archer having that weird confrontation, I guess you call it, and QT Marshall's interview. That actually went up 6,000 viewers for 7 to 757. So the previous quarter they lost 5, the next quarter they gained 6. So they're right back to where they were. Quarter 4, Lee Johnson versus Ethan Page. Adam Hangman Page and the Dark Order celebrating Matt Hardy's money. Dropped 38,000 viewers to 719,000. But, remember I said earlier, they lost 5, they gained 6? Well, they lost 38. The next quarter, they gained 39. Amazing. Quarter 5, Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, and Don Callis in the ring cutting the promo, then having the brawl with Eddie Kingston, and then Christian Cage coming out there, and the very beginning of the 6-woman tag match, that increased 39,000 viewers to 758. Still, no 8s here. No 8s. No 8s to be found this week, which is very, very telling. Quarter number 6. The second half of that women's 6-woman tag match. Matt Hardy introducing the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny in his corner, in his stable. And the very beginning of Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky. That dropped 61,000 viewers to 697. That was the biggest drop of the night. But earlier I said they lost 6, they gained 7 between 2 quarters. Then I said they lost 38, they gained 39 on the next quarter. Well, they just lost 61,000. The next quarter, they gained 69. So obviously, you had a small group of people that were changing the channels for a little bit and then changed back. 3 times that happened during that night. So Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship went up 69,000 viewers to 766. And the last quarter, the main event of the night, so to speak, the Inner Circle, the War Center. You know I have been focused on this for many weeks over the last 3 months, and the trend continues. The final quarter hour of the Inner Circle and everything went down. It went down. More ways than one. That final quarter went down 27,000 viewers to 739. They lost viewers for that final quarter. The War Council. What did I say? The Inner Circle? Yeah, the War Council. They lost 27,000 viewers. So, 743 is the average. This is what it looked like. Not much of a change. 756, 751, 757, 719, 758, 697, 766, 739. So they closed less than what they opened. Now we get to NXT. NXT, similar pattern, but second hour did them in pretty much. Hour 1, 713,000 viewers. Hour 2, 669,000 viewers for a composite of 691,000. The opening quarter, which was William Regal's announcements, the presentation of the women's championships to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, that opening quarter did 740,000 viewers. Quarter 2, which was Io Shirai versus Toni Storm for the women's championship, that quarter dropped 11,000 viewers to 729. Quarter 3, which was Finn Balor's promo, LA Knight's interview, then the confrontation with Bronson Reed, Pete Dunne versus Jake Atlas, that dropped 50,000 viewers to 679. Quarter 4, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. A majority of that match in quarter 4 increased 14,000 viewers to 703. The last part of that women's tag team title match, backstage when they went through the curtain, and then while they were backstage, you saw the way Austin Theory tear his shirt off and stormed off, and I think even Adam Cole might have had his little promo hyping up the match later on. That quarter dropped 2,000 viewers to 701. So they pretty much maintained their viewers. Not too bad. Quarter number 6, Xia Li versus Caden Carter. Jordan Devlin's announcement that he's coming back. That great piece on Zoe Stark. And that promo from Santos Escobar. That all dropped 7,000 viewers to 694. So far, really no big drops. Quarter 7. The Grizzled Young Veterans versus Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. And then Io Shirai challenging Raquel Gonzalez. That little Timothy Thatcher promo with Ciampa. That dropped 60,000 viewers to 634. That is the worst thing you can do. Put that crap in quarter 7 like they did the week before. You know, yes, MSK made their return Wednesday, but still, right before the main event, they pulled that shit. They did the same quarter last week, and the same shit happened. They had a drop in viewers, and almost none of those viewers came back for the main event. It happened again this week. So quarter 7, Grizzled Young Dipshits versus Wild and Raul Mendoza. That dropped 60,000 viewers to 634. In the main event, Finn Balor versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. That went up, but only 11,000 viewers to 645. Not very good. Not very good. The only thing that I took notice of that is worth bringing up is that when NXT does these 5-minute overruns, they usually get 20, 30,000 viewers that tune off from AEW and will watch NXT for that 5-minute overrun. This week, definitely worth mentioning. This week, after AEW went off the air and NXT went overrun, that rating, the finish of that match, Kyle O'Reilly showing up and then closing out with the stand down with Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, that rating jumped all the way from 645 to 818,000 viewers. They have more viewers in that 5-minute overrun than AEW had in the final quarter. So a lot of eyes that turned off on AEW went to watch the last 5 minutes of NXT. So that's pretty good. So now we go to the average. The average was 691. You ready? 740, 729, 679, 703, 701, 694, 634, 645. That's quarter 7. They never got those viewers back until the overrun. Now, one thing I want to do this week that I haven't done before, I want to give you side by side each quarter hour to show you how close some of these quarters were. All right, quarter 1, AEW 756, NXT 740. Quarter 2, AEW 751, NXT 729. Quarter 3, AEW 757, NXT 679. Quarter 4, AEW 719, NXT 703. Close. Quarter 5, AEW 758, NXT 701. Quarter 6, check this one out. Quarter 6, AEW 697, NXT 694. Quarter number 7, that big drop I was telling you about, AEW 766, NXT 634. That previous quarter, they were winning 3,000 viewers of overtaking that quarter from AEW. The next quarter, they were down 132,000 viewers difference from AEW. And in the final quarter, AEW 739, NXT 645. So I think that move to Tuesdays, forget social media. People that are going to brag on social media, oh, we chased NXT off of Wednesday nights. That is asinine. That is asinine to do, because now we don't have to channel surf. We don't have to decide. We get to have full attention. Once that happens, we get full attention to NXT on its own night. We got full attention to AEW on its own night. It's going to help both products. Both products. People that are going to try to turn this into like, oh, we won, we chased them off, that's asinine. That's dumb. Yeah, Mystery Man, both promotions at times are a hot mess, no question. I ripped on AEW this Wednesday. I thought a lot of what I saw Wednesday, maybe not worse than the ending of Revolution, but there was moments Wednesday that I was like, this is freaking a mess. And again, that tomato sauce analogy, I think, really sums it up. You put too many ingredients in a recipe that's not needed. Oh, let me put a little pinch of this. Oh, let me add a little bit of this. Oh, let me put a little of that. Let me put this. Put too many ingredients. Ever hear too many cooks spoil a soup, I think it's called? That might be the same thing. So, anyway, I want to plug one thing. And even the Joey Ryan stuff, I don't even know if I want to give this guy much attention, but I wanted to talk about AEW's new show on Monday, Elevation. They got some pretty good matches lined up. Since we're still talking about AEW, let me throw the matches out here now because you might actually want to go check this out. Remember, it's going to be hosted by Big Show, Paul White, and Tony Schiavone. And the matches that are going to air on YouTube this Monday, 7 p.m. Very smart for AEW to do this, not only on Monday night, but at 7 o'clock, because this allows, Monday night, we're all in a wrestling frame of mind for the most part. So you're going to get more eyes to tune into this, and you get wrestling before Raw starts. The only thing is, when I add up all these matches, something tells me this is going to be more than an hour. So if this bleeds into the first hour of Raw, look, it's YouTube, so we could watch it whenever we want. It's not like, oh, you got to watch it at 7 o'clock or else. But, I just hope these matches are not averaging 3-4 minutes apiece, because that will suck. So anyway, the match is scheduled for Monday. Matt and Mike Sydal versus Joel Nelson and Royce Isaacs. You might remember him from NWA. Miro and Kip Sabian versus Baron Black and Vadi Morales. Ray Lynn versus Abaddon. Diamante versus Layla Gray. The Butcher and the Blade and Private Party teaming up to take on Dean Alexander, Carly Bravo, Brick Aldridge, and David Ali. Riho versus Maki Ito. Okay. Now people are like, okay, now you got my attention. Jungle Boy versus Danny Limelight. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Brandon Cutler. Ty Conti versus Ashley Vox. And Max Caster versus Dante Martin. So, not too bad. Not too bad. I like that second group of matches. And by the way, I wasn't even aware of this. Big Swole. Now, I've given my share of criticism for Big Swole with that dentist office debacle that they had on that AEW pay-per-view. But they're going to air a segment on YouTube, and I hope this airs on Dynamite. I really do. This deserves to be on Dynamite. I had no idea that Big Swole has been battling Crohn's disease. Now, if you don't know the particulars with Crohn's disease, go look it up. It's pretty serious shit, and that could be a lifelong battle. So, I don't know how much of what we saw on TV with her in-ring work, if Crohn's had any factor in that. Maybe it did, and at the time, she didn't even realize that it did. But, man, Darren says, who cares, she sucks. It's not a matter of sucking. It's just a matter of, she was diagnosed with a serious health condition that she's going to deal with the rest of her life. So, I kind of give her a little bit of leeway here. Give her a little leeway. Look, let's be honest. If she is battling Crohn's and it interferes with the wrestling, she might have to seriously consider pursuing something else. But, when you train for years and years and years and work your ass off, medical condition could get in the way. So, you know, it's not an illness show. Darren, I know you're trying, man. I don't mind. I appreciate a little good trolling here and there, but this is a woman who's battling Crohn's disease. You know, that's some serious shit. It's not an excuse. You know, she sucks. Well, she had Crohn's, and that explains it. No, it's not an excuse. I mean, you know, it's just something that some people out there, you know, I think would want to see that. And I'm sure some people tuning in know someone who battled Crohn's. Who knows? Maybe some people tuning in might be battling Crohn's themselves. You know, I had diverticulitis surgery. I had my intestine cut in half and removed pieces and sewed it back together. I know that's not exactly what it was, but diverticulitis surgery is not fun. I have no gallbladder, all right, which I know some of you have had that done as well. But I also had the cancer scare. So when I see people battling some illnesses or some serious issues, it kind of hits home for me. So maybe that's why I show a little bit more. I'm a little more sympathetic about that. But I just wanted to mention it because there are some people here who want to see Big Swole improve. You know, I'd like to see her improve and go to the next level. So maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Smoking Hydro says his sister is battling Crohn's. It's no joke. It's no joke. I've always heard of Crohn's, and, you know, I've done a little research here and there. Other than, you know, having the shits and abdominal pain and losing weight, losing strength, I didn't know a lot of the other particulars. So, yeah, and that's another thing. Lion says it on point. Big Swole is a good person. Everybody in wrestling has nothing but great things to say about them. And yes, us, we just want to be entertained. When you hear someone that's a good person get struck with something, you kind of want to show a little concern and sympathy. So, but anyway, very quickly, Joey Ryan. Now, I'm not going to read you his statement because it is kind of boring. I will show you the tweet that he gave to CM Punk. And look, I'm a CM Punk fan, but even this tweet, I was like, okay, I think Joey Ryan really gave it to CM Punk back. Dayhawk, I don't know if it's curable. I think it's a lifelong illness. Like, it goes in remission, but I think it comes back. It's not like I don't think it's a cancer, but you can maintain it and go into like a little remission, or it subsides, but then it could come back at any time. Okay. I know I did a play on words on Twitter when I said that Joey Ryan pulled out of his lawsuits. He's starting to drop a lot of these lawsuits. He dropped the lawsuit against Pel Primo. Now, before I get to Lee is saying Crohn's never goes away. You could get it under control, but it never, once you got it, that's it. You got it. So Joey Ryan is starting to drop some of these lawsuits. I will read you a little of what he had to say. I personally think Joey Ryan, I hope he is doing some online seminars to learn how to do people's taxes, maybe invest, sales, freaking Amazon Fresh deliveries, because I think his wrestling career is almost done. And I brought this up yesterday. I don't have a hatred for Joey Ryan, but he comes off as just a creep. You know, I don't know what specifically he did and didn't do. All right, there's been a lot of allegations, but there is a trend. And you see that trend, and I said it yesterday. When he is around these women, you know, it's the same formula every time. Oh, you know, I'm kind of depressed today. Yeah, you know, me too. You know, it's good to have a friend like you to just talk to. Yeah, it's this. You want to go to the gym? Yeah, let's go to the gym. And oh, you know, I had a bad relationship. Yeah, me too. You know, life. You know, these people are creepy. You want to make out? That's really what it is. and I will continue saying what I said before. If I truly believe that if Joey Ryan would have originally come out and say, look, everybody, I had a bad breakup and I don't like being alone. And I felt good around women. I love women. Physically, emotionally, I love the companionship. I didn't intentionally want to hurt anybody, but my selfishness, came off as a creep. And I used the club example. Back when I went to clubs, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating a little from yesterday, but back when I used to go to clubs in the 90s especially, you would see it all the time. A guy would walk in, or a girl, whatever, and they sit down and they're trying to pick up someone, and they'll lie about their career, they'll lie about their finances, they'll lie about everything because they want to impress the person that they're buying drinks for, hoping that they get laid. Now, if somebody happens to fall for that and goes with the person and then finds out the next day that this person is not a big investor. He works in a freaking produce department for Warbounds, and you find out that this guy doesn't have his own apartment. He lives in his mother's basement. This guy has a vet. Yeah, he's got a vet, but it's in his shop right now. It's not a Corvette. It's a Chevy Chevette. People do that shit. That's what you call players. I don't condone it. I've never been good looking enough to even pull that shit off. But that's what Joey Ryan did for most of the time. He was a player. He manipulated women to basically sleep with them. And I'm not excusing it, but if he would have just went public and said, look, I don't like being alone. I'm very depressed. I'm very lonely. And having their company, I took advantage of it. But there was I think people would have still said, this guy's a fucking creep. You know what? Okay, I'll wrestle on the same show with him, but I ain't gonna fuck him. I'm sorry for being so explicit, but I think a lot of people would be like that. No, I was never a player, man. Never a player. But anyway, so he filed all these lawsuits to try to get people to backtrack their statements. And what happened was, these lawyers must have talked to each other, or these people must have talked to each other and said, ignore this son of a bitch. Ignore this freak. We're in the middle of COVID. Obviously, cases get postponed because of COVID. And this guy has no ground to stand on. He wants to sue Impact Wrestling. Oh, I lost all his revenue. Fuck you talking about? Oh, I lost revenue from this promotion, who didn't have shows. Think about that. He sued saying, oh, I lost all these followers on social media. I couldn't wrestle in California because of it. I got this. But meanwhile, we're in the middle of COVID. Most of these promotions weren't doing shows, period. So all these people are like, ignore this fucking whack job. Ignore this whack job. He's going to be forced to have to show proof. And when he shows proof, then things start coming out even more. And he had no proof. He had no ground to stand on. He tried to buy time, and then because he realizes nobody bit, nobody was willing to settle, nobody negotiated. Now he brings up Psalms and chapters from the Bible, and who knows, maybe the guy really has emotionally changed his ways. I have no idea. But it comes off as fake, because when you start name-dropping quotes from the Bible, and you only do it in complete statements and not everyday life, you're trying to use the Bible so people don't, try to lay off a little bit. So anyway, this is what some of what Joey Ryan had to say. There have been a lot of narratives going around concerning the event announced on Tuesday. Remember the charity event, that he was supposed to be involved in, and they can't, that was recently. And none of them are true. I'm not trying to come back to wrestling. When it was presented to me and the idea that I could wrestle a good friend as a way to go out and gain some closure. Closure from what? Closure from what? It sounded great. I agreed to help because of the delicacy of my involvement on two conditions. One, I couldn't be used as a surprise the day of the event. Trust me. They weren't going to put him as a surprise. You imagine if fans showed up and then they brought him out as a surprise? Imagine watching on video all these fans walking away. So I don't buy that shit at all. that you can't use me as a surprise. Bullshit. And the second, we needed to be transparent to fans and other wrestlers about my participation. 100% of the proceeds go to charity. We use Bar Wrestling's brown paper tickets account for the convenience, since the account already existed, and blah, 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 blah. The blessing in disguise, as it turns out, that is to say, is the reaction of the announcement, was the closure that I needed. I felt, indifferent about the reception. I was actually a little jazzed, and I'm still over enough to trend on Twitter, which shows exactly where my priorities were. However, indifferent is honestly how I felt about performing since the day after All In. All right, the more I'm reading this, the more I'm starting to get aggravated. For full transparency, I am leaving the Impact Wrestling lawsuit open. Breach of contract is an entirely different issue. I know wrestling doesn't have a union or really anybody to look out for us in contract negotiations. Because Joey Ryan is basically saying there's nobody looking out for us when we negotiate our contracts. This is stupid. Fuck this guy, man. Seriously. This is a blue check. You know what this is turning into? This is like the same formula he would do to women, but instead he's trying to screw us with our mind. There's nobody looking out for us. And I know they don't have a union, but this is completely different. And since we don't have anybody looking out for us for contracts, this guy is such a manipulator, man. And some of it, I don't even think he intentionally does it that way. So let me get to the Pel Primo lawsuit, because he dropped that too. And instead of just dropping the lawsuit, he's got to try to make himself come off as a good person. This is his exact quote. I filed to dismiss the Pennsylvania lawsuit also. We're all struggling with mental health, myself included. Him and I will never agree as to the events in 2013, but I could be more sympathetic. I went through something similar in 2018 and understand his pain. Hebrews 10:24. The funny thing about it is CM Punk responded to that, and CM Punk said, if you really mean that, then dismiss the lawsuit with prejudice. Now, for anyone out there that doesn't understand what that means, when you dismiss a lawsuit, you could do it with or without prejudice. When you dismiss a lawsuit with prejudice, that means you can never file a lawsuit again, period. If you don't file it with prejudice, once the statute of limitations run out, Joey Ryan could file a lawsuit again. Remember all these lawsuits in California? He didn't have proof. He pulled out these lawsuits before the court could rule against him because he's furnished no proof. I'll give you a good example. You work for someone. You know you're about to get fired. So what do? I quit. You know you're about to get fired, but you quit before the person could fire you. This way you could tell everybody out there, I didn't get fired. I fucking quit. I walked out. Joey Ryan is doing the same thing here. With those lawsuits in California, he knew, because he had no proof to back up any of this stuff, that before the court could say, Mr. Meehan, case is dismissed. He pulled them out, tried to make himself look like the better person. Let's all move on with this. So CM Punk tells him, if you really mean that about what you said with Pel Primo, dismiss it with prejudice. This way you can never sue him again. Well, Joey Ryan responds to CM Punk with this. I meant what I said more than you meant what you told your best friend Colt Cabana, that you'd cover his legal fees. Now, even though I will say Yeah, Joey Ryan, I think, really gave it to CM Punk. That's a good dig. These are blue check marks, acting like blue check marks, thinking that they can control the narrative or control the situation. Joey Ryan thinks that he is in total control of everything that's going on. This idea, you could use me at this charity event, but you cannot make me as a surprise. That is trying to make it come across like, look, I wanted everyone to know that I was going to be there. This way, if they felt uncomfortable, then, they didn't have to appear or, blah, blah, whatever it is. That's bullshit. Didn't want an embarrassing moment. This guy is a master. Look, I'm sorry for being a little nasty with my word I'm about to say, but look at all the pussy that he got. This guy obviously is a master manipulator. And when you're a master manipulator, you're usually not just good at manipulating, getting some action. You're probably a great manipulator when it comes to other situations. And this guy here is trying to manipulate this situation like, look, do I think he's battling mental health? Yeah, I really do. And like I said before, I think his depression and failed relationships and maybe just a horrible, miserable personal life, that the escape was getting laid, being around these women. So he said whatever it took to get laid. He's a creep. He's a player. Is a criminal? I don't know about those other accusations. I have no idea. But as far as all this other stuff, he is a player. And really, what's going on, my friend? He is in, I think, Australia right now. It is 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. I wanted to give a special shout out to Near. Near is he's new to the show, but he tunes in live every show now and lives in Israel. So the time change is dramatically different out there. And I want to thank you for tuning in yesterday. Look, I don't want to get into like politics stuff tonight, but you see on the news a lot of the stuff that goes on with tensions with Israel and other countries. And, he talked to me about, his relatives, his parents who migrated from Turkey. They have some really tense situations going on. So he tunes into the shows and other people's shows too, is a little out. And he loves the Italian stuff. And honestly, that's why I changed the logo tonight to red, white, and green for the Italian colors. But I'm not a big soccer fan, by the way. When Italy ran with the cup, the World Cup, maybe like 15 years ago, whatever it was, 10 years ago, everybody was into soccer. I had all the figures on my desk of all the players, but for the most part, I don't watch soccer. I can't get into it. So anyway, 2006, that's what it was. Oh, so yeah, 15 years ago. Yeah, 2006. But so with Joey Ryan, look, I wish him well. I don't know, when you're that old and you've been doing this for so many years, I don't think you change. I don't think you change. What is he going to say? I'm going to counseling? What are you going to do? Videotape the segments for proof? People lie on social media all the time. I'm doing this, I did that, I did this. And why do they do that? Because they want people to think that you're doing the actions to rehabilitate yourself. Like I said, he pulled out a lot of these lawsuits before the judge would dismiss it. So he tries to make it seem like, this is the right thing to do. It's better we move on. And, I've gone through mental health issues and so is him. This guy's a master manipulator. So, anyway, I think we're pretty much done, everybody. I'm looking through my list. I think we've covered everything I needed to cover today. So I am going to get out of here. We're right at the 2-hour mark. So it was a fun show. Before I go, definitely want to just finish up with a couple of super chats. Crazy Cruiserweight, he really thinks I need to do that GYV ratings chart. Also, my thoughts on the intervention of the printing press. He's talking about old school stuff. He is very comedic. As far as covering ratings, like I said, I don't get into demos. I get into the overall. Because demos are nice and everything, but if you have 1 million viewers and now you only have 500,000, you lost 500,000 viewers. I don't give a shit if they're 12. I don't give a shit if they're 21. I don't give a shit if they're 50. You lost 500,000 viewers. And I guarantee you lose 500,000 viewers. You didn't lose it on one age demographic. So, me, you always gun for the most viewers. The only people that should be concerned about demos, and I've said this before, are the wrestling promotions, the networks, and the advertisers, and the executives. Regular fans focusing on demos usually use the demos to try to make something look better or worse than what the overall situation is. I fucking stay away from demos. Jay Carlos, All Elite. Look, I don't think AEW would ever contact me to do any work whatsoever behind the scenes. But like I said, if a company seriously wanted me to do something behind the scenes, as long as it doesn't interfere with my, real career and relationship and family, yeah, I would do it. At this point, I would definitely do it. And Devin M., he's painting his bathroom. Oh, that could be interpreted many different ways, my friend. So he's not very active tonight, just showing love and support. So shout out to Devin. Oh, he's in the chat room. Where I come from, painting the bathroom could be interpreted a few different ways. So, but look, I hope everybody is doing well. I notice when I end these shows, we talk a little serious for a minute, but, believe me, the light is definitely at the end of the tunnel. I know for everybody in the United States, almost all of you out there are now going to be getting $1,400 checks from our president. Enjoy it, spend it wisely. I don't want to see any $1,400 super chats in here, and I'm dead serious, because I've had a few people say, dude, money stuff, when I get back to work, money, and Neil Ray, I'll never forget what that man did. I mean, I was very, very thoughtful, but I felt so guilty after. Enjoy your money, have fun, go out. COVID is starting to get its ass kicked. Did you see WWE with the little PSA tonight? Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, get vaccinated. Now, by May 1st, in the United States, everybody will be able to go get vaccinated. But remember what I said. In fact, you want to know something? Something a lot of you don't know. Over the last 48 hours, I've helped 11. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. I've helped 11 of your fellow family members here get an appointment to be vaccinated. 7 of them on YouTube and 4 of them on Patreon. And 2 cases, these are people who are pretty much bedridden and really can't leave the house. And I got appointments set up for them. So they go to the house and give them the Johnson & Johnson. Today, a name that I know a lot of you know from, and I'm sure he won't mind because he brought it up yesterday on the show, David Peralta. You saw him bring it up yesterday on the show. I got him a COVID appointment. He's going Sunday to get the vaccine. And I, in openness to each and every one of you out there, if anybody out there has to live in the United States, because I don't know the setup overseas, but if you live in the United States and you fit the guidelines to get the vaccine right now, and you're having a really hard time getting an appointment, email me, dontony@dontony.com. I will warn you, if you really want me to do this for you, I'm going to ultimately need your full name, your address, your date of birth, your email address, and your phone number, because that's the information they need to reserve the appointment. But there are some tricks online to getting some of these appointments. You do have to hit a reload button about 500 times in many cases. But luckily, some of the people that asked me to look into their stuff, they lived in areas where there's a lot of vaccines available and not as much demand. But if anyone out there qualifies, or better yet, you have a loved one that qualifies for the vaccine, and you need some help, you can't seem to get an appointment, email me and I'll do whatever I can for you. So last 2 days, I got 11 appointments done for people. And if I get King Aces done, that'll be 12. So, but, like I said, just be prepared. But I'm not telling you to send me all your details now. But if anybody really needs to help, what I would need right now to start is when you email me, just give me the town and state that you live in, so I could go check out your particular state's setup, what websites are available, how this runs and this. So then this way, once I know where I have to go to try to get an appointment, then I'll take your other information. And this way, and this is why I was saying this, with the you snooze, you lose. Something pops up, you got to grab it, because just like that, it's gone. That's how I was able to get my appointment 2.5 months ago. I'm fully vaccinated now. And, May 1st, obviously it'll change. But remember, this is probably the most important thing. On May 1st, if everybody's able to get a vaccine, that doesn't mean everybody's going to be able to get a vaccine. It's going to be in such demand that you're going to go online, and it's going to be like the old days when you wanted to buy tickets for WrestleMania, Ticketmaster, they sold out in 2 minutes. So you're going to see vaccines gone in 2 minutes. Trust me, I watched the site that's about 5 minutes from my house. They had 18,000 appointments available 2 days ago. 18,000. They were gone in 3 hours. When you see people out there that says, oh, I can't find it, in a lot of cases, they just sit and wait, think that they could log on whenever they feel, oh, let me make a cup of coffee and let me go on tonight. Oh, I'll sit down tonight and I'll spend a few minutes. That's not how it goes. Those son of a bitches pop up. You got to stop what you're doing and grab it. Otherwise, you lose it. So if anybody needs the help, let me know. I'll do whatever I can for you. And, Roger, check out the download. I think we had a real fun show tonight. We kept the topics straight and to the point. And Florida, 65. But no, I think if you're also maybe teacher, first responders, might be grocery. That's why, like I say, send me your town and state so I could look up and see who fits the criteria. But again, you should know in your own state if you fit the criteria. Don't email me and say, hey, DT, I live in Idaho. Could you see if I qualify? You got to see if you qualify. Know that you qualify. And if you can get it now, then you contact me. I'll do what I can. But everyone, I thank you as always for the support. And one last time before I go. All right, we got to hide. If you enjoy the show, smash that like button. Let YouTube know that you enjoyed the show. I will be back here on Monday with Mish. Enjoy Impact Wrestling Sacrifice. We got into the card yesterday. It looks like a decent pay-per-view. I may watch it on a replay. I'm not ordering it, to be honest with you. And I'm not doing a recap on it. There's just not enough interest. But I will obviously get into the results next week. But I don't doubt that it's going to be a pretty solid event. Finjuice versus Good Brothers, I want to see. But I'll check you on Monday. After Raw, Mish and I will be here for Breakfast Soup Raw. And post your feedback, post your comments. I spent about 2 hours today responding to comments on YouTube. So post your comments, your feedback, anything you agree, disagree with. We'll have some convo. And as always, my friends, thank you for all your support. Never in a million years ever thought that I would get this much support here so quickly. I mean, it's still a fact. I think a lot of people forget this. It's still a fact that about 75%, 75 to 80% of all of my supporters only access audio only for various reasons. Convenience, work, I drive, I listen to you, and I can't keep looking at a screen. So still about 3/4 to 80% of my family out there only access audio only. But, I love having this dimension of doing video for everybody who joins me here. And I try to keep the audio side of it as good as possible. So I thank you all for the support as always. And I will check you all Monday night after Raw. So have a great weekend. Darren loves my face. My friend. Have a good night, everybody. Be well and stay safe. I'll talk to you on Monday. Good night, everybody.